Hey you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing a project using Ali Edwards' Story by the Month kit. So this kit is coming out in May, but I believe it is the June themed kit. So let's just crack into this and I will show you what is included with this subscription. So if you haven't seen any of these videos, I have several or not several, but a few on my channel, and I will link to those below. But this is a new subscription that Ali Edwards is doing, and it's a little bit smaller, so it has a smaller price point, which is awesome. And usually the kits include some type of chipboard, cards, and a small stamp set, so that is awesome. So let me just run through all of the supplies here, and then it always comes with a quote card, which is really great because this is great for project life. These are the days we dream about when the sunlight paints us gold, which is awesome. I can totally think of photos that I could definitely pair that with. So that would be great in like a summer project life, I feel like. All right, so let's just start with the stamps here. See if I can get this focused. So you can see that this is a lot of these, there's going to be some Father's Day themed here, but also summer. So you've got the Backyard Adventures. I love this Sia. I think that's really cute. These days look like this. I like that as well. I think that would be great. You could stamp that and cut it out and put it on top of a photo. You could stamp it right on a photo. So we've got some Father's Day and then some summer, because summer is coming, if you believe it or not. It actually snowed today in Salt Lake, so it is hard to believe, but I think summer is on its way. Here is the chipboard, which I think it's great to have a variety of sizes and shapes. So again, we've got Father's Day, we've got some summer stories, and then just like so much love for this. So this is a good sentiment that would, you could use for really any theme that you want. I think this is a fun color palette as well. I'm really liking those blues and greens and even the orange and kind of peachy. So I think this will be fun to play with. And I'm gonna just open up the cards. And one of the things that's really great, and I talk about this every time I get one of Ali's kits, is that the cards are single-sided, so you don't have to choose what side you want to use. They are all gonna be able to be usable because the back is blank. So I love this card, loving these lessons learned. I think that's a really great story prompt to be able to tell some stories, dad stories. This is a lot like the mom stories from last month's kit, and I really liking those colors there. Every summer has a story. So thankful for you, Dad. Super love you. That's also similar to the card from Mother's Day. Do more things that make you forget your phone. This is a great card, especially because we have this conversation at my house a lot about putting the phone down. So I'll definitely be using that. Summer stories with the date on there. And then Sia, definitely going to be using this card. Time for pool and sun and grilling and laying under the stars. Awesome. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing a project life spread and be using these supplies with it. And we've got a Father's Day with a lot of room to be able to journal there. Loving these stories. Again, I think those are a lot of fun colors. This chapter equals summer. And then June stories. That's a really fun green color. So that is the supplies for this kit, or this is what is included in this kit. And like I said, I actually haven't 100% decided what I'm going to do, but I believe I'm going to be doing some catch up on my 2014 Project Life album and doing one of the summer weeks there. So I just need to go and print out my photos, but looking forward to using these supplies. All right, you guys, so I thought I would show you this part of my process. So I was gonna go to my computer and print off some photos, but I thought I would look in my 2014 album to see if I had any photos printed. And it turns out I had several of them printed through May and June. And this one just happens to be Father's Day weekend. And I've got some pool pictures, so they looks pretty summery, amusement park. So I thought this would be a really great week to use with Ali's kit because it has a lot of those themes in it. And so I'm just gonna pull this one out. And you can see that inside of here, I've just got like all this ephemera and stuff still tucked away inside in case I want to use them for in my project life. All right, so this is the spread I'm going to be using, and I've got the supplies underneath, so I'm just going to slide those off to the side. All right, you guys, so I'm just jumping into this spread, but before I do so, I wanted to apologize for my voice. I am not actually sick. I have the worst allergies I have ever had in my entire life. So I'm totally stuffed up from that. My eyes are watering. I'm literally blowing my nose constantly, so it's raw. So I do apologize for the sound of my voice and if I sneeze or sniffle throughout this video, but hopefully we won't have any of that and I can just get through this no problem. All right, you guys, so it was actually a lot of fun for me to grab over my 2014 album and start working on that. I am looking forward to getting this album completed. So like I said, I have, I think, through April done. So I really do have like 2/3 of the year left, but I know that I can do it, especially with a lot of these fun products that are coming out. It's very motivating to get more of my stories told. One of the things that I would suggest to you guys, if you have past albums that have not been completed yet, and this is what I'm doing, is I've started to go through all of those photos and just get them printed in bulk, stick them into the pockets, and then wait till I am able to go back and do the journaling for those photos. And you'll see coming up how I make doing that journaling just a little bit easier. But I'll talk about that in just a minute. Jumping back to what I'm actually doing on the screen. So I've been obviously going through the product. Right now I'm looking through the chipboard, and before I had looked through the cards and decided which ones I wanted to use. So obviously I chose a week that had Father's Day because there was a lot of Father's Day sentiments, and then just some of the ones that had summer stories and things like that. I went ahead and I cut up that photo of my daughter and I because I wanted to put it on a 3x4 piece of paper, and I will overlap them and kind of cover my face. And I did strategically cover my face instead of her face because I wanted more of her than of me on there, but I thought that those were a lot of fun. So right now I'm looking through some of the stamps that came in the kit. I really like that backyard adventure. I like the type, but I also really like the box that's around it. And so I was thinking that it would be great to stamp it out and then cut it out and put it onto one of the photos. But I wanted to do that more than once. And then, so that's why I was kind of looking to see what other stamps I could use. The other stamp that says "This day looks like this," I really liked that one as well. So I decided to stamp those both out in black, and then I'm going to draw a line around the stamp "This day looks like this," just to mimic the backyard stamp. You know how I feel about drawing lines around things just to ground it. And those lines aren't perfect like the backyard adventures are, since they are the actual stamp, but I decided to keep it organic and not to worry about it. But if something like that does bother you, you could always re-stamp it and then maybe use a ruler to help you get it straight. But I do like the feel of having those organic lines. So I'm just sticking on the photos where I'm anticipating that I will want them to go. All right, you guys, so I was just standing here looking at this, and there's like a little box here, in, you know, a little box to maybe add something. So I found this little star, set it there. I don't know if I'm gonna keep that or do something else. I just kind of looked through my stash. But I wanted to show you how this is gonna be easy to tell my stories, because this is all from 2014. But I have this story journal, and I do have a video on my YouTube that talks all about my story journals. But in here it talks very specifically about things that were going on this week. For instance, I'm looking at the photos. I know it's Father's Day weekend. I know we went to the amusement park. I know we went to the zoo. This is a picture of Bella at this violin camp. So these are like the details, right? Or these are like the overview. The photos are kind of telling me, I could tell stories, I could reflect on the stories just from these photos. But I have got this story journal that talks about how my husband was sick. And obviously my niece was here because we dropped her off the train so she could go home. My daughter had an ortho appointment, which there is this photo here that I'm not actually going to end up putting in, and I'll tell you in a minute what I'm going to do with it. You know, I was working on the Whole30. So I was actually doing Whole30 during June, which is actually like the worst thing to do in the summer. But I started the Whole30, and I remember that, which is weird because that's 4 years ago and it feels like it was last year. You know, the 12th was there. So there's going to be photos, a photo collage that I'm going to add on here as well. I talk about Father's Day. I talk about how we went to the amusement park. And how Tess went camping with her friends, which is why she's not here in the photo for Father's Day. Little details like that, you know? So I'm going to be able to then tell more details to this week just because I have this journal. So this to me right here, this book is a lifesaver that I can go back and I can know what's going on during the week. And what also I think is really awesome is I can have this on my shelf for always. And then if I want to go back and look at a particular week, I've got a little bit more details as well, because not everything is going to get told during this week. But one of the things that I am thinking about doing that I would like to do, and I'm thinking about taking out this photo of my dog with her neighbor friend, thinking about it, not sure, is maybe having a list of some things that went on that week. Like Tess ended up going camping with her friend. I don't know, a list of some things that was going on that week. So I might do something like that. I might leave it and not worry about it because I have the details in here. So I don't feel like I have to get everything in here, but we'll see. All right, guys, so I just wanted to give you an overview of how I'm able to tell my stories here in 2018 from 2014 because of my story journal. Now, you can definitely, like I said, use your photos as jumping off points and tell stories about that. Oftentimes, I am triggered by photos and I can remember moments, like that moment of me on that ride with my nephews. I can totally remember that moment with both of them as we were going up on that ride and that anticipation. So I could definitely have written a story about that. But I just wanted to let you know that having a story journal is really great for a couple reasons. One, so yeah, you can go back and tell stories in case you're not up to date, in case you move, it's a really busy summer, or something goes on that you're not able to work on Project Life on a weekly basis. You can have some of these details down that you don't want to forget, or you can use your story journal just as a journal that then you can look back to and see the stories, because in Project Life, you're not going to be able to tell all the stories, and that's definitely not the goal. But you may want to go back and see some more details that didn't actually make it into the week. And you know what? You may not want to. That may be too much information for you. But I just want to let you know that you get to decide. Anyway, I probably just repeated myself twice, but I just wanted to reiterate that because that is really how I've been able to go back and tell a lot of these stories, is having that story journal. And I've loved the consistency of doing that since 2013. So you've just really been watching me put this together, putting down the chipboard. You saw that I dropped that star that had the adhesive on the back. So it got adhesive on the piece of paper. Luckily, I was able to let it dry and just kind of erase it off, and you're not able to see it at all. I kind of tried to use my finger, but I felt like it got a little dirty, so I used the eraser and it was perfect. So you can see that I went ahead and I did take out that picture of my dog, and I want to do a summer list. And I was just going to cut out those numbers. So instead of using the card, I decided just to pull out the 1, 2, 3 because I really liked them.
I decided to go through my stashes of punches to see if there was a size that would work. And you can see that I went through a couple. I kind of cut that out just because it took too much time. But the one that ended up working was the 3/4 of an inch. If you have that size, it will definitely work. It does have a white border around the letters, which I really liked. Maybe a 1/2 inch would work as well, but you'd probably be a lot closer to those numbers. So anyway, 3/4 of an inch totally works perfectly. Then you can see that I went ahead and I stamped that stamp, Summer Loves. So the stamp is not a bad stamp. It actually is supposed to stamp a little bit distressed like that. So that is why it kind of looks like that. Instead of doing black, I decided that I thought that maybe doing one of the greens would be great. And what's so awesome about using Allie's products is that most of the time the colors that she's using are going to be colors that she has with her ink. So if there's a green, they tend to lean towards some of the greens that she has in her inks. So this is definitely the case where this has happened. So I believe this color green is Olympia. I will have it linked below just in case I am totally wrong on that. And I just went ahead and I stamped that. You can see that I practiced stamping a little bit just because that ink is a little bit juicy. So I just kind of wanted to practice it a couple of times to make sure that I could get it to stamp on my paper really well. Kind of seasoning the stamp a little bit, if you will, since it was a new stamp. And then I went ahead and I adhered those those numbers on, and I did put them so they were kind of off to the side. That way I could just cut them off the edge. I really wanted them to interact with the side of the piece of paper. I like the look of that, but also it gave me a little bit more room to journal as well. So you can see that I just have that put together, and I will journal that in just a minute. Now I'm looking at finishing up that those photos of my daughter and I wanted to add a little something on there, a little embellishment. I couldn't find anything in the chipboards, and I didn't want to maybe add like a totally different embellishment. So I actually went back to my stash, and in that stash that had those little small pink stars, just like the large pink star. So I went ahead and grabbed the small one and just decided to add it to the photo. Just a little something. I felt like it needed something on that photo to kind of ground it. I don't know. It just needed something. So I'm glad that I was able to find something similar that would kind of tie into the other star. Now, I could have added another star to the spread so it's, in thirds. I tend to do that a lot. That's definitely a design principle. But I just decided to leave it for now and not worry about it. I thought it looked just fine having the two. So now is the portion of the video where I'm going to start doing my journaling, and I tend to do that at the end. So that story I told on that card is just all about how lucky my girls are to have the dad that they have. Then the summer stories, I can't remember exactly the story that I wrote on that card, but it was just one of the stories that came up that was going on that week about summer. Actually, you know what I think it was? It was a story about how this was the first year we have ever had a pool, because we moved into our house in March of 2014, and so it came with a pool, and so this is the first year we've ever had a pool. So I just wrote a little bit about that, which is really funny because I did write it from the perspective of 2014, because if I was writing it from the perspective of this year, where our pool has a leak, trying to find pool service companies is a disaster. Like, I would be writing a completely different story about owning a pool. Anyway, just something to note about like whether or not you want to tell the story from the perspective of 4 years ago when we were super, super excited, or from now, from 2018. So I definitely chose to do it from then, because I can write a story in my 2018 about what it's like owning a pool 4 years later. Anyway, that's just a total side note, you guys. I am completely done with this spread. It was a lot of fun working with this Stories by the Month kit. I'm really enjoying this new kit from Allie Edwards. I hope you guys got some inspiration from this, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. You guys, we will catch you in the next video. Thanks.